Hello and welcome to Module 4, Ingredient Selection of Comprehensive Personal Care Formulation Study Program. Now that we have had a feel about how cosmetic chemists work, when you first did Module 1, we kick off by making a vitamin E hydrating facial mist and was provided with a formula guide to be able to create your own toner mist. Then in Module 2, you were given 3 formula guides regarding surfactant foaming products, balm, and hair conditioner formula. It's now time to become familiar with the ingredients that we use in a formula. So let's go ahead and determine every ingredient's functionality and its role. The learning outcome for Module 4 includes key roles and functionality of every ingredient, the different tools to correctly reference an ingredient, and I'll be giving you a separate file on preservative checklist, gums and thickeners, lipid checklist, fragrances, and essential oils. Moving on, let's talk about the key roles and functionality of every ingredient in a formula. There are 4 major categories. So these 4 major categories include functional ingredients, structural ingredients, supportive ingredients, and additives or added extras. Let me just give you an example here. Let me just open a file just to show you about why we're going to address or why we're going to need to understand the 4 major categories and the roles and functionality of every ingredient. Let me open this file for you. You are familiar with this formula that I gave you about Barrier Lip Balm. So as you can see, we're talking about how to be able to write a formula. So we're doing it on a step-by-step. Today we will be talking about how to address, how to understand, and how to reference an ingredient in the formula that you are creating. For example, a castor seed oil here is actually called a functional ingredient. There. It is an emollient that gives a gloss finish and skin conditioning effect. Another ingredient on phase B is vitamin E or DL-alpha tocopherol, which is actually considered a supportive ingredient. So that's the reason why we need to talk about these 4 main categories in order for us to write a formula based on the key roles and functions of the ingredient. And lastly, on flavor oil, you can see we call this additives or added extracts. So now let's go back and talk about these 4 major categories. Going back, as I was saying, every ingredient in a formula has its roles and functionality. Let's talk about functional ingredients. Functional ingredients are materials that give a specific role per product type. Let's take a facial wash as an example. In this product, we will need a surfactant as to perform as a cleansing agent. You cannot make a face wash without a cleanser. So this tells us the function of surfactants in your face wash. In the formula, your product may also contain a primary functional ingredient and also a secondary functional ingredient. Like if you will be creating a conditioning shampoo, in which the conditioner material will serve as the secondary functional ingredient in the formula. Other examples of types of functional ingredients include active surfactants or actives to include surfactants and whitening actives. Also active botanicals, extracts, emollients, skin conditioning agents, or humectants like glycerine, propylene glycol, propanediol. And then it could also be a functional ingredient, could also be a solvent and diluent, and a surfactant solubilizer. Now, these functionalities and roles will not always be the same per product. So it depends on what is the specific role of this particular ingredient in a particular product. Next is the structural ingredient. A structural ingredient gives the structure for the product. Continuing with the facial wash example, like for example, the viscosity increasing agent can be added to the formula to create a thick consistency, which makes the consumer think it is a more concentrated and effective product. So examples of these are gums, polymers, waxes, which we use for balms for uh, viscosity modifying, solvents and diluents, surfactants, and emulsifiers. So if you will notice, um, one ingredient could have different functionalities. One ingredient can be a functional ingredient and also a structural ingredient or an additive or added extras. So its role will be identified on what is the main function or role of that particular ingredient or material. Okay? So let's talk about supportive ingredients. Supportive ingredients are those that can improve the stability and shelf life of the product. Like for example, to maintain the integrity of a facial wash, you will need to add preservative, and you may also choose to add a chelating agent to improve suitability in hard water conditions. Other examples include viscosity modifiers like xanthan gum or guar gum or guar hydroxypropyl, um, chelating agents, antioxidants, emulsion stabilizers like stearic acid. So those are supportive ingredients. Additives or added extras. These are ingredients that would normally be added for marketing purposes, but does not give any functional, it doesn't give any supportive or even structural to the product itself. They are added in small amounts to attract consumers or to attract clients to buy your product. So these additives and added extras should not be taken for granted because it could actually give you a story, for your marketing purposes, building the story of the product that you would like to offer to your clients. For example, the fragrance and the color of your face wash. Other examples include skin conditioning agents, fragrances, colorants, abrasives, flowers, leaves, petals, and so many others. So those things we're talking about because we would like to establish how you will be able to complete your formulary when it's time for you to write one. So we're already on module 4, and I'm expecting actually that you're now trying your own formulary with regards to uh, probably a toner or a mist, and you're now trying to create your own formulary, or you would like to create your own formula for a balm, okay? For probably a body wash using the formulary guide that I gave to you on module 1 and module 2. Now let's talk about the tools that we need on referencing for ingredients in a formula. All right, so what we need to do, what we need to know are these tools that we have. Number 1, the source INCI or International Nomenclature of Cosmetic Ingredients of Names, and or the CAS or CAS, or what we call Chemical Abstract Service Numbers, and these we can get from the supplier's documentation. And these could be TDS or Technical Data Sheet, and sometimes you are provided with product data sheet. Okay, I'll give you the example later so that you become familiar with all this. So the INCI and or the CAS or CAS that is coming from the suppliers, the documents that they provide to us whenever we will purchase this particular material from them. Next, once we know the INCI names, it's now time for you to check on COSING database. There. The COSING database is where we could find the ingredient entry. This database is by the European Commission. It's being used all over the world by all chemists and cosmetic chemists worldwide. So let's not use Google or try to search all the information from Google, but let's use a reliable source, which is COSING database. And then once you have checked with COSING database, you'll be able to determine the functionality, the roles of an ingredient using the information provided on COSING database and the International Cosmetic Ingredients Dictionary and Handbook. So I'm giving you here some of the most common products that we normally use or we normally make as a cosmetic chemist. I'm giving you here a surfactant formula for foaming face, hand, body wash shampoos, cream face cleanser, or cream balm cleanser, balms, toner, mist and gel, hair conditioner, moisturizers like creams, lotions, body butter. So let's talk about that in a bit while. So let's go back to the tools that we need on referencing for ingredients. Again, once we're already familiar or we know the INCI or the CAS number, we go to COSING database. Let's click on this link and see what is COSING database. It's actually cosmetic ingredient database that looks like this. So you need to be familiar what it looks like. Okay. This is where we search for the ingredients. For example, let's say, let's talk about cetearyl alcohol. Guys, whenever you're searching, you need to reference your ingredient the way it is written on the INCI names. For example, you can't do cetearyl alcohol on one word because you're not going to be able to find anything. Let's say we say cetearyl alcohol like this. Again, you're not going to be able to see anything if you mistype or you didn't put the comma or you didn't put the hyphen before each word. So let's go back and do it again. Let's do cetearyl alcohol. Let's try to search this. Okay, and refer to whatever it is that you would need to get or which material you're referring to. So click, there's a lot that contains the word cetearyl. So we're looking for cetearyl alcohol. Click on this. And you'll be given those information that will help you understand its functions and its roles. Now remember guys, it depends on where you are using this particular material. For example, the cetearyl alcohol, we're using this to create a lotion. So not all these functions will refer to a specific use. For example, a lotion doesn't need foam boosting, right? A lotion, what else? the functional role of a lotion is not really as an emollient, but as an emulsifier, emulsion stabilizing, opacifier, surfactant, and viscosity controlling. So this is where we could get the CAS number as well. If you're only familiar with the INCI name, then here you'll find the CAS number of a specific raw material. If you'll notice, there are two CAS number in reference to cetearyl alcohol. Now, this is because probably there are two companies who have a different way or method on creating this particular material, and they both apply to get a CAS number on this particular material. But because, even if they're the same INCI name, sometimes due to the process or the method of manufacturing, there will be differences on the effect of this particular material once you create lab testing. Okay, that's why before I would always say that for the purpose of for labeling purposes I require to use all INCI names in my formularies. But when you're creating your own formula, to reference to the material exactly how you did it on your first samplings on or when your samplings was approved, it will be best for you to use the trade names of the material that you use, because the trade names refer to the supplier who supplied that particular material to you. Okay, so there you go. That's how we use. And if you would like to download its PDF file for your filing, you can go ahead and do that, and it'll give you the there you go. It'll give you the PDF file for your own, for your printing. Let's go back. Okay, so there you go. We talked about how for you to be able to use coding database and how easy it is to research on coding database using the INCI names provided by our suppliers. And then I talked about the International Cosmetic Ingredient Dictionary and Handbook, which listed about 70 different functions for ingredients found in personal care products today. But let's just talk about few of them, the most common product types that we refer to whenever we cosmetic chemists create a product. They include, so to continue, let's talk about surfactant formulas for foaming face, hand, body wash shampoos. So for functional ingredient, we're looking at surfactant cleansing agents. Those are the materials that we will label as functional. For structural, we're looking at ingredients like solvents, of course, water being one. If you're adding distillates or hydrosols, that also falls for solvent. Viscosity modifiers, and also some of the other surfactants in the formula. For supportive ingredients, we're looking at viscosity modifiers, preservatives, chelating agents, and antioxidants. And then for additives or added extras, you're talking about skin conditioning agents like emollients, humectants, and miscellaneous. Fragrances, colorants. Also, if you will be adding abrasives or exfoliants, like if you're creating something that exfoliating facial wash, there you go, that will be labeled as additives or added extras. If a foaming abrasive or chemical exfoliation product respectively. Opacifying agents may also be used to pearlize the look of these products, which also falls for added extras or additives. Now, I'm not going to discuss everything. I would like you to read all this so that you'll be familiar with labeling or inputs on what type of function of roles and functionalities each ingredient you will be using in your formulary. So you've got a guide for toner, mist or gels, for hair conditioner, for moisturizers, creams, lotions, body butters. Any type of moisturizers will fall in this category, and any type of balms, whether it's for face, for multi-active type, for the body, and so on, will fall in this product type. Let's continue. Determining naturalness of an ingredient. There you go. So of course, when we're trying to understand how to write a formula, it is also important that we understand how natural an ingredient is, right? Especially if you're trying to create you have a philosophy that serves for more natural approach, to your product using natural ingredients. These are very important information. Now, information as to the general or natural synthetic status of the named materials. Please make sure you request and check the material flow chart and processing methods used for the exact material you intend to use or make claims with, to ensure accuracy of information that you will be giving to the consumers. So these things you refer to or you get from your suppliers. Key abbreviations to determining naturalness of an ingredient. On the technical data sheet or product data sheet, you will find sometimes it's written N for natural, NDM for derived from nature with minimal processing, derived from NDS for derived from nature, complex with or processed using synthetic chemicals, and NI for nature identical ingredients, and S for synthetic ingredients. So that's how you reference those key abbreviations that will be given to you on technical data sheets and or product data sheet. Number one, for example, abrasive materials like body exfoliants. An example is Avena sativa oat kernel meal. That is considered a natural ingredient. Walnut shell powder, a natural ingredient. Hydrogenated jojoba wax. Yeah, I've used this on several occasions, several workshops that we did for those who have attended workshops with me before. It's an NDM or derived from nature with minimal processing. Okay? Let's say an antioxidant, for example, like vitamins, like DL tocopherol or vitamin E. It may be NDM or synthetic. So there are synthetic type of vitamin E, and there are NDM or derived from nature with minimal processing. So this will depend on your source, and you need further documentation checking to be able to determine the exact naturalness of this ingredient. For example, chelating agents or sequestrants. Citric acid is Ni or nature identical ingredient. This coming from acidic foods, yeah, and disodium edta, which is considered synthetic, and tetrasodium edta is also considered synthetic. For natural ingredient, we have as a chelating agent, we may use gluconolactone from it's corn derived and it's natural. Okay. Colorants as specified here as well. Cosmetic ingredients like alcohol may be N or S depending on source. So further documentation will need to be checked from your suppliers. Okay. So another cosmetic ingredient, Hamamelis virginia or witch hazel extract. Normally N, but you will need to check the status of any solvents or preservatives present on the product. So you will need to request for the certificate of analysis from your supplier. Okay, what else? You've got here emulsion stabilizers, exfoliants, fragrances. You've got to continue. We've got skin conditioning agents here, categorized into emollients, humectants, and miscellaneous ingredients, and occlusive. Okay, occlusive. These agents are to block the evaporation of water from the surface of the skin, keeping it moist and it's increasing its water content. Like for example, shea butter does a good job for this, and jojoba oil. Both of them are natural. Caprylic triglyceride is an NDM, and so on. Hair conditioning agents, hair fixatives, opacifying agents, pH adjusters, which has been categorized into two, an acid and a base. Okay, preservatives used to prevent or retard microbial growth and used as a supportive ingredient. So there's a lot for you to learn on this module 4. To continue, for determining naturalness of an ingredient, another one is solvent. It could be water, it could be hydrosol, it could be alcohol, it could be glycerin, it could be propylene glycol, or propanediol. So these you may need to check from technical data sheet. Sunscreen agents, yeah, so I've listed all those here to correctly identify how natural this particular ingredient you're using in your formula, so that you have an exact claim of your product after writing a formula and offering this particular product to the consumer. Okay, surfactants categorized as cleansing agents, emulsifying agents, and solubilizers. Viscosity increasing agents, aqueous, and viscosity increasing agents, non-aqueous. So the lists are there so that you can easily identify how natural an ingredient is. The rest, well, I'll give it up to you to go ahead and refer to the documentations given to you by your supplier. And lastly, before we end Module 4 ingredient selection slide presentation, again, we have here the tools that we need on referencing for ingredients in a formula. Number 1, we need to know the INCI names or the CAS or chemical abstract service numbers that will be coming from the technical data sheet or product data sheet from supplier. Technical data sheet looks like this. Let me just open this file for you. All right, so here's a technical data sheet coming from Lubrizol. Okay, this is about Avolure Flex 6 polymer, a multifunctional flexible solution for formulating high-performance skincare, sun care, and color cosmetics. So the INCI name is here, polyurethane 62 and tridecate 6. Okay, and the rest of the other information for you to understand how to use a specific ingredient in the formula. So these are what you need to get or you need to acquire from your suppliers. Going back, let's check on PDS from supplier or product data sheet. Okay, here's an example of product data sheet. Still, it contains the information, the INCI name, yeah, of the product. This is the trade name of the product. Novimer EC2 polymer. Okay, it's a versatile inverse emulsion rheology modifier for ease of processing with an INCI name of this. And then the descriptions where you should use this particular material. It says there you may use for facial cleansers, aftershave, anti-aging products, color cosmetics, and so on. The features and benefits are also here listed on their product data sheet. Moving on, let's talk about again the costing database is what you need. Let me check. Let me go over this once again. Okay. There you go, and you will be referred to this data sheet where we can do some simple search of the ingredients based on those INCI names that our supplier gave to us. Like if you will check cocoa betaine, okay, let's check on this. Okay, cocoa betaine here, yeah, and click here, right? So, and there you go, the functions, it's going to give you when you use this particular material. Let's go back. All right, so examples of an SDS. Orange sweet oil SDS. Let's check on this one. This is the safety data sheet or material MSDS or SDS. Material safety data sheet or safety data sheet. Your suppliers should be able to give you this for you to be able to understand what this product contains, the product name and so on, the botanical name, and all other um, uh, information that will be required by some agencies that will ask you to produce this. Okay, let's go back. Eucalyptus oil SDS. Let me check that once again. So yeah, you have all these ingredients here with the SDS, and let's continue. Lastly, Novimer EC2 once again as another SDS example. Yeah, there you go. So you can always refer to these for safety and for documentations coming from and will be submitted to agencies that requires these particular documentation. All right, there you go. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm excited to see you again on our next module. Thank you so much once again. You have a good day. Have fun formulating. Bye.